7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
All right, and welcome into another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast as we are now moving into another week of golf. I know the four of us are excited. Golf is back. We are moving into the Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands. Gentlemen, how did we do last week? I know, Tony, you struck with Webb. I don't want to pick on the Kisner bet, so I'll just let that go.
Hey, I'm going to keep going to the well. Sooner or later, it's going to get there. He's getting such good numbers on him, and he had a really good Thursday. He just played bad Friday and missed the cut.
Fair enough. So, Token, how did it go for you? I know that you and I were texting back and forth. I actually picked up Webb at 5-1 and actually was able to make a little change. Actually, getting Daniel Berger at 12-1 with like 7 holes left was kind of nice.
Yeah, and that chip on 17 was definitely cool to see for you, to give you a smidgen of hope. But, I mean, pretty much at that point it was Webb's.
Yeah, Webb Simpson ultimately did prevail in last week's RBC Heritage. Betting-wise, how'd it go for you, Token?
Not so great. I had Abraham answer towards the end, and he just couldn't get in there close on 18 to force the playoff, so.
Yeah, I was a little shocked by that. I mean, you could see he had seen the shots ahead of him do the same thing. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're professional golfers. But it seemed like no matter how he lined that putt or that shot up, he still went right. I didn't understand it. I mean, I feel like you kind of had to go for it there. Even if you ended up off the left. I mean, I know that there's money involved in placing and seating. And I guess it's not a tournament worthy enough of trying to really go for it. Like if that was a Masters and you had to go for it, I think he might have done that. But
yeah, if it was a major or like something like the Players or something with more prestige.
Yeah, because Tony, Mr. Johnson, I can't imagine that he saw all of that action in front of him and decided the optimal play was to lay up for a 40-foot birdie putt.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say in the moment. Again, we weren't there over the ball. Maybe he didn't have an ideal lie or an ideal spot, or his footing wasn't, perfect in the fairway, and he was just taking what he could get. It's hard to argue with a guy that hit all 18 greens in regulation. So I'm with you. Could have been a discussion he had with his caddy, and maybe they just came up with the wrong shot too. You could very well be right that it was a poor decision in the moment. But yeah, all he had to do was just putt a little bit better. And I think Answer would have won that tournament for sure. So that was a little unfortunate.
He hit all 18 greens on the last round, too. That was pretty insane stat.
Incredible. That small greens, too, with that play. That's incredible. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, he had probably about 4 putts. He burnt the edge for sure. So
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to turn our attention to the Travelers Championship here, give you our thoughts, give you our picks. First, let's thank a few sponsors here. First and foremost, obviously, 12-Ounce Sports Network, where we are broadcasted both in audio and video formats. You can check out all the shows at 12ozsportsnetwork.com. Make sure you check out the store while you're there. You can find everything from T-shirts to coffee mugs to beach towels to golf polos, etc. Also, we are sponsored. You're watching us, if you are, on Zingo TV, which is a streaming service that you can download to your Android or iPhone device, smart TV, or Roku stick. Still want to learn what the Roku stick is. You can use code 12OZ at sign up, and it is 100% free, and you can catch us on there. We're going to be on there every week as long as golf podcasts are continuing. Download Zingo TV from the App Store and catch our ugly mugs and all the shows from 12 Ounce on channel 761. Also, Seat Giant, promo code 12-Ounce Sports for your discounted sporting event, concert, and theater tickets. All right, boys, let's talk about the Travelers here. We are in Connecticut, which I have off the air already got this one mixed up with the Farmers. I was wondering why I wasn't at Torrey Pines this week, but I was put in my place. Mr. Johnson, you are the man to help us get a feel for the course, so I will defer to you, sir.
Sure. So, yeah, this is a pretty quick one because at least we have a really good idea. Again, I think from the last 2 weeks, especially as well. Of course, it's been played for now well over a decade on tour and hasn't changed very much. There's been no major changes, no new grass put in the last 10 years. So we know what we're getting here. And again, it's another really short course. So this one tips out only at 6,841 yards. Par 70, so there's only 2 par 5s this week versus having 3 last week. So I think that will play into this, and we've seen from previous winners that actually does matter. It's not exactly a bomb and gouge type of track where you can just overpower it. There's been only one example of a guy that has been able to do that, and we'll get to him, I'm sure, later on, who's dominated this event over the last 5 to 10 years or so. But besides Bubba Watson, I mean, it's been a pretty much get your way around the course in an intelligent fashion, hit as many greens as you can, really, really small greens, only 5,000 square feet, which is about the size of last week's greens at the Heritage, maybe a little bit bigger, but not very much. So again, scrambling's going to come into play here. We do have some different grass this week compared to the last 2 weeks. So the greens here are mostly Poa annua, which is like a weed basically, which grows in heavy abundance in the Midwest and upper Northeast. So guys that are used to putting on that, which the ball rolls completely differently from Bermuda versus bent grass versus bluegrass, I think Poa is some of the easiest stuff to putt on. When you get on a roll, you can really start to let it go. So I think that could be interesting. We've got some good historical data on guys that have done well on that type of grass. And weather-wise, hot weather this week. Maybe a little bit of rain Saturday or Sunday, but not too much wind. Course will be soft. It rained earlier in the week. I think it's going to be a low-scoring week, like we've seen the last two straight weeks. And funny enough, interesting stat before we go on. From year 2000 to 2020, regular tour events, so discounting WGCs or majors, the 3 toughest fields in those last 20 years have all occurred these last 3 weeks, if you take in regards of PGA Tour victories. So all the way from Colonial 2 weeks ago, our RBC last week, to this week, it's incredible how good this field is. Again, 156 players, 12 more than usual. I think it's going to be pretty wide open with a lot of really good scores.
Well, it's true. I mean, the COVID kind of had a situation where everybody got that 3-month vacation. We always used to say, Tiger would only get up for the majors, after he started becoming so dominant. And it seemed you started to see that with the Spieths and the McIlroys and the types like that. You didn't see them in every tournament. And I don't know how long that's going to continue right now, Token, but right now what we're getting is the best fields that we've ever had, at least in the last few years, as Mr. Johnson alluded to. And like you talked about, Bubba Watson, 3-time winner here at River Highlands, and he's moved all the way up. Last week, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he was 75-1. He's 25-1 now in the current odds here from William.
Yes, and he actually opened at 40. I was able to get him at 40, luckily. So
Nice.
yeah,
I got him at 33.
yeah.
Still good.
Yeah,
33 is worth it.
I see another strong week. I think Bubba will be in contention, whether he wins it or not, or makes a top 10, who knows. I actually see them beating the tournament record on this one, though, which is held previously by Kenny Perry in 2009. 258, yep.
Yeah, 22 under par. So you guys think it might go lower than that?
I believe it will. I think the winner will be at 24.
Wow.
Based on the past few weeks of play. I mean, and the leaderboards have been very, very tightly packed, too, especially going into that final round. I mean, we had 5 tied for first going into the final round last week. The week before, 3 tied up top?
Yeah.
Very congested leaderboard.
Yeah.
Very congested. A lot of people, opportunities to win.
Now, what do you atone to that? Because 2 weeks ago, we all talked about fear of the unknown as far as what we had, no golf for 3 months. Tony, you talked about fear of the unknown. Are we starting to see a little more consistency? I mean, are we looking at people who were playing? Is it were they playing well before COVID? Were they playing during COVID? I mean, what's the momentum right here, and who's got it?
Well, who's going? You
Go ahead.
Okay. I think a lot of it has to do not necessarily with momentum-wise, but where we picked up and what these three tournaments are and who it fits really well. Like, it could not have been a worse start for a guy like Dustin Johnson. I mean, it could not have been any worse. Whether he's playing well or not, it is another topic. But these tracks just do not fit his game very well. And then there's a lot of other guys where it just does fit very well. I mean, is Daniel Berger still going to be playing well no matter where they're playing? Yeah, sure. But, I mean, these are courses that fit him extremely well. And so I think that has had a lot to do with this as well. But, yeah, I mean, we've seen it, Aaron. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, and I think I had even brought up last week that a lot of the guys that have been playing well before the break happened, there's been a lot of continuity going forward. So, I don't know what to make of that per se. I'm not trying to think too much or think too deeply. Just evaluating the field, evaluating the fit. And I think at this point we need to really be going after guys that can go super low. Because I'm with Token here. I think at least 22 under gets it done. 24 is probably a pretty good guess. And with the conditions that will be, you need a guy that is willing to go super low. And there's just guys that I don't think can go that low. They might be able to win a tournament in tough conditions at -6, but they can't win at -24. So I think that goes into play too.
They're almost more set up for the Open Championship
Yeah.
with really windy, tight fairways,
Yeah.
rolling green, stuff like that. And
Yep.
yeah.
And foreign players that may not be comfortable or guys that have not had a lot of time on tour, you got to go all out. I mean, this is an all-out week. You're right, Toby. I think it'll break a record this week too.
Well, and that's a fair assessment. And Bobby, I mean, if you watched Harbour Town, you never really got in trouble. It felt like every time they went right into the trees were wide open. I mean, I can count on two hands the times Webb Simpson, they're like, oh, that shot's bad, or he's going to have a tough time. And then his second shot, he's laying up, and it's like, there's nothing in his way. Like, is that
either laying up or almost going for the green with an incredible shot? Not
to pick on Webb, but I mean, even Daniel Berger. I mean, it seemed like you watched 17 at Hilton Head at Harbour Town, and every player in the final round went right at the green.
Pretty much, yeah.
And this is also a testament to how good these guys are. I mean, these guys are unbelievable players, and the level of aggressiveness is so much higher because we're also week to week. This coronavirus, we don't know if there's going to be a tournament next week. Because what happens on Friday if 6 players test positive? They might shut this whole thing down, and we might be gone for a month.
Well, we got another guy. Cam Champ just tested positive. He was just returned from Travelers.
Yeah, so it's very week to week, and why not be aggressive? Because you don't know if there is a next week. So shoot at some pins and try to get going here and try to make some cash because we don't know if tomorrow's coming.
Yeah, throw some dart up by the pin. And
that's fair. I didn't think about that. I mean, I wonder how these guys do feel about COVID because there's 2 now in 5 days. And the guys who were playing this week, they're already there. Their mindsets play a tournament. But maybe you're right. Maybe they might take the next 2-3 weeks off. Patrick Cantlay didn't play the first 2 weeks. We don't know if it was a rest thing or if that was maybe he actually was a little afraid of COVID. Of course, he picked the wrong week to come back if he's scared of COVID.
Well, also foreign guys, they have to come over here and sit out 14 days. They have to quarantine for a couple of weeks before they can play. So
yeah,
he might have got here week 1, and he has to be here for 2 weeks just hanging out and stuff.
Did you guys see Rory's comments on that? What are your thoughts on that, Token?
I did not actually see his comments on that. Let me try and look them up while somebody else comments on it.
Basically, when asked about that, because he's a foreign player, even though he has a house over here, he basically kind of called out the foreign players and said it's kind of chicken shit. I'm just paraphrasing here. I'm not putting words in his mouth. Kind of chicken shit to stay back over there and play some of the lesser tours when basically this is the cream of the crop. Like, come play the PGA. He was willing to do the quarantine. He doesn't understand why others aren't. But like Bobby, you said, everybody's situation is different for the reasons, that are only privy to them.
And let's be 100% honest here. If you decided you wanted to go play the Liverpool Open or whatever the fuck they have over there on the European Tour, there's money being offered over there. It's not PGA Tour money where it's $1.2 million to win. But look, if a guy wins $400K over in Liverpool, England, beating a field of people who are going to be working at Loop Pros in Vegas, fine. It's a professional win. I think Rory's way off the mark on this one. Professional win is a professional win, and the money's still spent.
Yeah, I couldn't really get down with what he was talking about too. I felt like, it's the same situation that's really going on across the country. Is everybody's situation is different. Some, it's regarding the COVID. Some people don't fear it. Some people fear it far more than they probably should. And you know what? Who's wrong? No one's wrong. If you're super in fear of it, you're right. So yeah, I think Rory may have overstepped here, but I feel that Tony, Rory's trying to be the spokesperson for the PGA lately.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the comments too. I'm with you guys. I didn't read a lot into it. And I didn't really agree with a lot of things said because, again, as you, I think, really well, summarized well, it's an individual decision. And again, I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong. Guys are in different positions too. Some guys can't necessarily travel and sit for 2 weeks on end. They might have families and new children and all kinds of things. And coming from Copenhagen, Denmark is a hell of a lot different than coming from Dallas, Texas. And it's just, I think it's a silly statement. Everyone's in a different spot. Rory's the number one player in the world. To be trying to speak for everybody as the number one player in the world is pretty ludicrous. So I read it exactly how you did. I didn't necessarily agree with it, and I just kind of flipped it and moved on. I didn't take much.
Yeah, it's nothing to cancel him for. I mean, let's not get crazy
exactly
about it. But
yeah.
All right, so let's move into some action here. let's do as we always do. We'll start with the futures. We'll move into the matchups. Start with this first clump. We talked about Justin Thomas leading the field at 11-1 as the favorite. DeChambeau, our boy, is 12-1 second. We'll move down to about the Xander Schauffele area at 28-1. Bobby, I'll start with you here. One or two guys, or however many guys you have, in this clump, including Brooks Koepka at 15-1. I mean, all it took is one good round, and he's already moved up the board. A couple guys here you have in this first clump of the favorites.
In the top tier, I'm looking at Justin Thomas. It's a ball strikers week, and he's just going to be pinhunting the entire time. It's about time he broke through and made about 6 or 7 birdies in a row. And 12-1 is not a great number, but what the hell, a win's a win. And, of course, Bubba. Bubba at 33-1. You have to throw some money at him. You're ludicrous if you're not. He's won here, 3-4 times, something like that, and a couple
3 times and a runner-up, yeah.
Finishes. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so Bubba has to be.
All right, we lost Bobby there for a second, so we'll come back to him for a second. But Justin Thomas at 12-1, all I can say is get lucky. I don't know if you guys saw that video.
Yeah. Yeah, either that or you hope there's a betting in between rounds and you catch him a little higher or something if you really like him.
Well, he's been playing good golf, but like Tony said, that he's not the kind of guy that, if he has to go minus 25, he's going to go minus 25. He doesn't strike me as that guy.
Yeah, he seems like more of a bogey avoidance kind of person instead of risking for the pin.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he may have been a world number 1 at one point, but when he was up there, he never seemed to really grasp it. And to be fair, no one has since Tiger left. I mean, Rory had his spurt, and Brooks had a good spurt, and probably would say is maybe considered the number 1 right now. But nobody. We've been waiting for somebody to really take dominance over the sport like Tiger, and maybe that's why the sport has lost a little interest. But Token, what do you have in this first clump?
I have 2 golfers on this list. I have Koepka. I got him at 16 before he dropped. I put a little on him, and if he has a all right first round, you might see him around the same number, maybe a little better. And if I see him a little better, I might light a little more money on fire with that. And then Bubba, like I already said, I got him at 40. So
yeah, catch him at 40. He's down to 25 now. A guy I've been looking at. We just talked about him beginning of the show. I mean, 25-1. Is Abraham Answer decent value here at 25-1? Playing hot.
I don't think he's decent value at 25. If he was closer to around the 40, yeah, but you're going to see some more challenging rolly greens and all that, and I'm going to say he's going to struggle a little more hitting greens in regulation than he did last week, as well as putting.
Maybe if you can find him. It looks like offshore, in some of the accounts offshore, he's 33, 35 to 1. So if you like Hanser, maybe you look offshore for him. So speaking of offshore, if you're looking for the best odds and most options to GGN your money, Token,
Yeah.
got you covered at mybookie.ag. If you use promo code 12ounce sports at sign up, they will do a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Visit mybookie.ag to get started today. All right, Mr. Johnson, it looks like we've lost Bobby. We lost connection with Bobby. Maybe we'll catch him back here. Where are you at in this clump of favorites?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. This is the first week I can remember for a little while where my numbers differ relatively significantly from the numbers that are here. And again, I don't base it off of completely what I believe my number should be, but I don't think there's really any value across the board here. It's hard to say. It's just so wide open to me, and I think that the winning score is going to be so low that I'm willing to pluck from a variety of guys in that middle to lower tiers. If I had to choose somebody, I'm fading Bubba Watson here. I understand you guys and the value proposition with how good he's been. I'm very unimpressed with how well he's played the last couple of weeks, though. The very inconsistent ball striking. He goes from leading the field putting one day to being in the bottom 3 or bottom 4. And to me, that shows a sign of just mental handicap right now. Again, I don't know what it is or what's going on. I have no idea. But it's just the lack of consistency there. I can't see it in a field this good. So, and Abraham Ancer is probably the worst value in the entire field based on my numbers, just my data alone. I have him at about 70 to 1 in this tournament. So anything like 25 to 30 is just not bettable. So if I had to, though, if I have to choose one, I guess I would choose, we're going up to like 30 to 1. I would choose Schauffele at around 28 or 30. But he's not going to make the ticket. There's a guy right after this that I might bet on. But besides that, that's the best one I see here. I just don't see a lot of value in the 10 to 20 range. I don't know. I like Patrick Cantley a lot too, but it's his first week back, and I just don't know what to expect. So it's hard to know.
Yeah, a lot of people like him. He started out at 30 to 1, and William Hill is down to 18 to 1.
Yeah, I wish I had seen the 30. If I had seen the 30, I was on there earlier. I was lazy as hell though yesterday. That's my fault on that one. 30 would have been a good number.
Speaking of 30 to 1, we'll move into the next clump. And a guy right there leading the charge here in this group at 30 to 1 is Paul Casey, a two-time runner-up at this. Ironically, both times to Bubba. But so we'll look at that second clump here, the middle tier from Paul Casey all the way down to about, let's just say Kevin Kisner here at 85 to 1. Token, what's a guy or two you see in here? And if you don't have anybody, I understand. You don't have to be forced to put somebody in there.
I have no tickets, but I would mention one person in this group is Sergio. I liked how he was striking the ball. Yeah, I liked how he was striking the ball last week. He was making some good quality putts and just fell a bit short towards the end of this week. But, I mean, he had a lot of ground to make up. But that's somebody I bet after the second round. And he kind of came alive for a second, gave me a little glimpse of hope, but fell a bit short.
That's fair. What about you, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, so this is where I start here, basically. I've been back and forth here with Morikawa. My number is about what it is, about 35. I'm a little bit worried. There's a lot of shots off the tee that are right to left shots, and he is a fade ball striker for the most part. So I'm minorly worried about that, but I really like his debut here last year. He played really well, which was his first or second tournament as a professional, and I like how he had that week off after losing in the playoffs. I think he'll be ready to go. And again, ball striking wise, and his ability to run the greens is fantastic. Putting is the only thing, as I know how important you've talked about already, Token, how important putting will be this week. That will be the Achilles heel for Morikawa, becoming an elite player on the tour until he can get that going in the right direction. But he's just a guy I don't know how you couldn't like. He's one of the better ball strikers in the world, I think, right now, in my opinion. But thinking about him, already made a bet on Patrick Reed again. That did not work very well last week. I really liked him last week. I think that I like how the number has moved a little bit here. I have 40 to 1, which I think is pretty consistent throughout. It's a bit of a contrarian spot, but he's done really well here. He's got 3 top 20s in 8 events, and again, his scrambling and I think will come into play a lot more. He putts better on this type of grass, usually, comparably speaking, and just see if the ball striking comes back together, because again, he just did not hit it very well last week. So I think that's more of an aberration. I think 40 is a pretty good number. And lastly, I got Tony Finau at 60 to 1 at another book here in Las Vegas. Can't remember which one, but 60 is just the best number around. My number for him is 50. So again, Tony's a guy that I'm going to take a flyer with every once in a while, especially if you can get him at a number like this. But there's not a lot there. I mean, he's been playing fine, basically as standard as he is. But 60 to 1 I thought was enough, so I sprinkled a little bit on that.
And this course actually sets his style pretty well, too.
A little bit better than the previous couple. I agree with that. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, we lost Bobby, but we got a text from him in this range. He said he's firing on Kisner again, so 85 on there for you, buddy.
Okay, good.
Couple guys I like. I already placed the bet just from previous last week's. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I placed this bet already from last week's performance, but Joaquin Niemann, I ended up getting him at 40 to 1. He's down to 35 to 1 right now, just simply based on he was playing hot last week. He was in contention, young kid, doesn't seem to really get caught up in the moment. So I'm going to take a flyer on him. So he's guaranteed to miss the cut this week probably.
His short game was actually one of the better of this past weekend of all the players, too. So his recovering and scrambling was up there for sure.
Yeah, and a guy I like, he was higher. He was actually with Finau at 60 to 1. I'm not going to – I may lay $5 on him at 50, but I like Mark Leishman. I mean, we already know I got a soft spot for that guy. I would love to see him a little higher than that. I actually think his number is probably too low right now, but $5 just for a nice sweat. Hopefully he'll be there on Saturday and Sunday. So those are the 2 guys I was looking at in this patch, this middle tier patch. And we'll move to the long shots here, which this is a name you really never see in the long shots, but after the while, you know, he just hasn't performed lately in the past few years. Jason Day leads the long shots at 90 to 1. I mean, that was surprising to me to see Jason Day basically this high up.
He's missed four straight cuts. He's missed. Yeah, it's just he doesn't have it right now.
Yeah. I'll start with Bobby. Bobby sent us in this area in the long shots. He likes Keegan Bradley at 100 to 1. So just live that one. So from Jason Day all the way down to – speaking of all the way down to, Ernie Els had a nice showing last week too.
He did. That was surprising. Yeah. Wow, yeah.
All the way down to
62 or something now?
He's got to be up there. But
almost 50. Yeah, almost 50, I think, yeah.
No, he's got to be over 50.
I don't think he's there yet, is he? I don't think so.
Ernie Els? God, Ernie Els was like the 90s.
Yeah, he was in his early 20s when he won the U.S. Open in like 90.
He's 50.
He just turned 50. Okay, he did. Okay.
50 in October, yeah.
Okay.
I felt like he did be closer to 60.
Yeah, I thought so too.
All the way down to Davis Love III at 1,000 to 1. That's getting $2.
Hey, he makes the cut. He got a little sweat.
That's got to be a sponsor's exemption, or does he still have his card?
Nah, yeah, I don't know. It's previous winners possibly, or if you have a bunch of good showings. There's a couple of ways to get into some of these events because this is an actual open tournament. It's the first open since the restart. So there's PGA Tour rules now finally apply. So I'm guessing that's how he got in. I think. That's how VJ got it. I know that's how VJ got it.
True.
So
all right, so Token, where are you at here?
I've got
I'm sure you got Schwartzel.
Yes, of course. I have one that's on my to bet list, but I have not done yet. Is Joel Damon. I kind of like him at 100. He's been playing pretty well this past few weeks. Don't have a ticket on him yet, but definitely going up. Schwartzel, like previously mentioned, at 200 to 1. I like him. I mean, he had a really good finish last week, and if he can start this week a little better, I definitely like his chances. Christine, actually, I gave her a list of about 10 golfers that are longer shots, and she chose Bryce Garnett at 200 to 1.
He's got a good record here too. Okay, nice.
So
All right, so
kudos
Tony,
to Christine for that one. So
if it comes through, yeah. So Tony, what about Ches Reavie at 125 to 1? He won the tournament last year.
Yeah, this would be a pretty easy stock fade for me. Ches is a guy that is a very streaky player. So especially for him, I like to see a lot of good, consistent play. And usually it's out west. So he's a Western guy, Bermuda dude. This is his only win or only real strong showing outside of the Western early tournaments for the most part. So it was a shocker that he won last year. It's a kind of an easy fade here. I don't usually like to be on guys that are defending. There's more things going on. There's more interviews they have to do, sponsor stuff. It tends to be a more difficult week, except for the veterans that have been there that are consistent winners. That's a different story. But guys like him that don't win a ton, that's a pretty easy fade. I think I have against him in a matchup potentially upcoming too, which we could talk about. But I'm not on Ches Reavie this week.
All right, so who are you on in the long shots?
Yeah, so in the long shots, this didn't work out well for Bobby and I last week when we combined for a guy, but I also like Keegan Bradley this week. He's a little bit higher than 100 if you go around a little bit. He's at 1.25 in a couple of different spots, at least in Las Vegas. Offshore, you can certainly do better than 100 as well. Not in every place, though. 100 is about stock, but yeah, so Keegan's from the area in general. He's from Vermont. He's got an excellent record here. He's made the cut all 9 times that he's played in the tournament. He's actually played in this tournament every year since his rookie season. He does not miss this tournament. He only has 2 top 10s, but he's been consistently in the top 30, top 40. He's had a couple of bad showings on Sundays, but it's just a guy I think at 1.25 is enough here. And a guy that's not afraid to go super low. He plays extremely aggressively, to a fault. At times, but a good spot here, certainly. A couple more I'll reel off. Patrick Rogers is starting to get a lot more play. This is more of I think, I don't know. A pick that is getting a lot more traction that I don't like to be with a lot of people. When people start to get a lot of traction, I tend to back off, but Patrick Rogers has incredibly quietly been playing great this year, both pre and post break. He's also 5 of 6 here, and he had a top 5 a couple of years ago. And his short game has really come around very well. Same coach that Gary Woodland has used over the last 2 or 3 years, Patrick's been working with, and that's always been his Achilles heel, is the short game, both around the green and on the green. And he's in the top 20 these last couple of weeks around the green. So I like Patrick Rogers a lot here. He get him at about 1.25, I believe. I'm not really sure where he stands. It might only be 100 in some places, but
I got 100.25 here.
Okay. And my third and final guy is Brandt Snedeker this week. I know a popular guy that all of us like. Again, just a price spot right here. He was abysmal last week in his return back, and I like that. I like guys coming off of kind of a bad spot. You might get a bit of an inflated price, and it is an inflated price. My number's about 110, roughly 115 if you really stretch it. So guy that plays best on polo greens, and when he gets it rolling, he can also go super low. While he has a general conservative type of approach and demeanor and game per se, he is not afraid to go low, and he is not afraid to, when he gets it going, to fire at every pin because the short game is so good he knows he can recover. He's got 3 top 20s here, averages about 68 for his career on this course, a couple under par per round. So just think it's a good spot if you can get a guy at 150. But those are my 3 with this spot.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's interesting to see a lot of these names out here in these triple-digit prices. I mean, that Keegan Bradley, who has good showings. Kisner, well, he's only 85 to 1, but your boy Oosthuizen there, Token, he's 125 to 1 as well.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, and I'm not on him this week. I probably won't be until probably right around Labor Day at the earliest, actually.
Other guy getting a big push too. You talked about, you don't like guys who get that momentum from the bettors and they get that rah-rah, but gone from 200 to 125 is Dylan Fratelli. He's getting a lot of publicity lately.
Yeah.
I assume he's a stock fade for you.
Stock fade, yeah. I think people saw that 63, 65 finish or whatever it ended up being last week. And again, a guy that can get it going. I have nothing against him, but he's been primarily done his work on European Tour and the Sunshine Tour before that, being a native South African. And it's just a guy that I can't get behind going super low and competing at this level in this type of field. It's a fade for me, unfortunately.
All right, how about a collective $5 on Davis Love? That way we can split 5K if it comes in.
Davis. Well, it's a better value than $750 for VJ. I'll say that for sure. I'd rather have $1,000 at Davis, but yeah, if we want to do that, that's fine. I can work with that. Sure.
Fair enough. All right, let's look at some matchups here, guys. We got some tournament matchups here. The first one I see is, ironically, Finau versus Leishman. Finau will 120 in that spot. So going down the list, Token, who are some matchup bets you actually like in this spot?
There are a few that I have already booked. First one on my list is Sergio over Hovland at -105. I do like that matchup a lot. I think Hovland's due to have like a kind of a rough, shaky week.
Hey, he's been playing his 2 good weeks back to back here.
Yeah. I know Tony's anti-Bubba, but I like him against Casey at -120. And that was probably going to be the most juice I was going to lay. And then one that's actually a decent-sized underdog, surprisingly, is Koepka over DeChambeau.
Yeah,
I'm at +115.
At some point we gotta be right on fading DeChambeau, right?
I don't know what to do with him. I put him at Enigma. I wrote Enigma, just avoid on my sheet here. I don't know what to do with him. I don't understand this massive weight muscle gain. Again, he's always made the right decision throughout his career. So it's hard to question what's going on. You watch people that have done this over and over again throughout golf history, and it doesn't work. Getting large just doesn't work. Everyone goes the opposite way. I don't understand, but he's playing so well, and he's so consistent. Yeah, and he's more accurate off the tee these last few weeks. I don't understand. I don't get it. So I'm just avoiding. I'm not betting on or against until there's just some sort of clarity. I have no clarity. I know nothing about DeChambeau.
Well, maybe Token knows something you don't.
I hope so. I hope you can make money off of it. I hope so. I certainly don't. I just can't comment because I have no idea.
Yeah,
but I hope you're right.
I mean, based on that value, and especially how Koepka finished last week, I like that, man.
All right, fair enough.
That's fair. All right, what else you like there, Token? Or was that it?
That's pretty much it. Not too much on the slate so far this week, and nothing else that really strikes my mind yet. I might try and do a few top tens, but depending on the odds and all that. So,
all right, Tony, what about you?
Yep, I'm fading Victor Hovland this week. I was trying to find a spot to do so. I didn't like him last week at all either, and I didn't have a good week with the matchups per se, but that was one of the few that I did win, was Poston over Hovland. I just think these last 2 courses, especially with how good you have to be around the green, and Hovland proved that exact point on Saturday and Sunday where he did not get up and down multiple times on both days. That again, we talk about Morikawa and his putting, Achilles heel. Hovland around the green, until that gets corrected, or he can get to a course where greens are enormous and he doesn't have to really worry about a lot of shots. He's a guy I don't want to be on. So I saw the Sergio. That one is interesting. On another site, on I believe Westgate, Scheffler was +105 over Hovland. I think I'm going to choose that one to fade Hovland for. And Scheffler took the week off last week. It doesn't appear to be that it was injury related. He didn't say, so I was a little concerned. But another really good young player who I like, and I like Victor Hovland overall, but not at the spot. So +105 there, I believe, at Westgate. But going back to William Hill, I'll just roll through them quickly. Morikawa over Answer. This is pro Morikawa, anti-Answer. I just think Answer's overvalued here. And Morikawa at +105. Shouldn't be really +105 against anyone per se. But Abraham Answer, yeah, that's wrong. That number is just dead fucking wrong. I'm sorry. Next one we have.
I agree with that, Tony.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that strikes to me why he's so overvalued coming into this week is his greens in regulation.
Yeah, he was
that's
lights
the
out. I
whole
know.
thing.
Yeah. I agree. I can't, from week to week, we've seen it before. It's hard to do. And again, I like him. He's a good young player, but to transfer all that from last week to this week on a totally different track, I'm not buying it. So
he was like 65-1 last week, wasn't he?
yes, that was the number. That was it. If you made that bet last week, whoever had answered last week at 65, you did the right. I mean, that was a great wager. You didn't win, and now the number's gone. It's just gone. There's nothing you can do. He's not bettable until he moves back up a little bit, just because in this field at 30 or whatever he is, to me, that's ludicrous.
Such a tough field.
Yeah, exactly. So next one, I have Shoffley over DJ, also plus 105. This is a complete fade of DJ. I am against DJ going forward here until we see more practice, more reps. He's self-proclaimed that he has not been working on his game a lot. And that's just not going to get it done anymore. It's not going to get it done, especially on these courses that don't fit him at all. I know I talked at length about that. And Xander's a guy I know I can play pretty much anywhere. So that's a pretty slam dunk, I think, at plus 105. Considering Patrick Reed over Sungjae Im at minus 105. Haven't fired that one yet. And then briefly, another couple of big names on the Westgate side, or it might have been South Point, I don't know. John Rahm over Rory McIlroy at plus 120. This is a toss-up, even money type of thing for me, and at plus 120. John Rahm had some really odd and awkward stats last week. He was awesome from like 15 to 25 feet. He made, I think, 7 or 8 putts from that length, and he hit the ball extremely well. It's just that when he didn't hit the green or when he was from close range, he either missed or he didn't get up and down. So, but again, a guy at that caliber, the number 2 player in the world, I think will get it together. So I like him over McIlroy plus 120.
Fair enough. A lot of info to digest. A lot of bets. Definitely want to get those in. Well, the Traveler starts Thursday, so that's a lot.
Yeah, some time.
That's a lot of action. Yeah, because this should be airing all Wednesday, so you'll have some time. Hopefully, the lines won't move too much out of your favor by then.
And some props, like you mentioned, Token. You know, some of these sites are coming up with some really good props. It's not just the offshore spots, but everyone in Las Vegas. There's a lot of prop action, too. It's a little bit tighter. I think the lines are a lot better than normal, to be honest with you, but it's still nice to see all these props. So, yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but yeah.
Well, no, I mean, the thing is when there's not a ton of, at this point in time, we'd be having hockey, NBA playoffs,
other sports,
hockey playoffs. We would have baseball. Like, they probably wouldn't focus too much.
I think you're right.
I've even noticed in just listening to some podcasts that even the UFC lines have been sharper, according to a lot of
I couldn't agree more with that. Yep, totally agree.
All right, Bulldozer, what were you going to say? Uh-oh, now Token's the victim of the bad internet. Token's the victim of the bad internet now. So, all right, well, let's wrap it up here before it's just a 2-man podcast. Let's thank the last
for some too.
Yeah, let's thank the last few sponsors here. First and foremost, Wicked Cuts Jerky. If you guys are tired of the same bland jerky, which we got our shipment in, we got 3 free bags of jerky we got to try. If you're tired of the same old jerky, please grab a bag of Wicked Cuts at wickedcuts.co. They got 2 new flavors. The one I want Token to try, Carolina Killer and Applewood Smoked Bacon Jerky.
Nice.
If you want to get 20% off, use code WICKED.
Both sound really good.
They do. Agreed.
Use WICKED20 at checkout at wickedcuts.co. Hey, Bulldozer, shut up. Fat T's Barbecue.
No.
How do I mute him?
Well, there's got to be a way to do it.
There it is. If you're looking for the best barbecue in Albuquerque, New Mexico, please. I got to mute both of you guys. Please check out Fat T's Barbecue, where they smoke prime Angus biscuit, bone-in pork shoulder, and chicken quarters. Also, they do deliver vacuum-sealed meat. What is going on now? This thing, I think Token's like, get out, you're muted.
What is this, PTI?
Oh, my God, stop it. How do you unmute yourself? Oh, this is making for great. I just need to get through the sponsor. Calm your shit. All right, sorry, Fat Tees. We'll catch you next time. FatTeesFood.com and also ChaiPoker.com. Founded in 20,000. You guys got me all fucked up. Founded in 2016 as an organization dedicated to poker and charity. If you had a big poker score lately, please consider donating to ChaiPoker.com. Chai is the Hebrew word for life. Therefore, Chai Poker is the poker life. All right, God. You guys don't make it easy to get through this.
Should never be easy.
Did we lose Tony?
Yeah.
There we
Life
go.
is not easy. It's not easy.
Fair enough. All right. Well, good luck with your Travelers picks. And please follow us on Twitter at Vegas Squares. If we get more picks in the tournament, we will send them out at Vegas Squares. So for Token Tony, for Tony Johnson, for the ghost of Bobby Digital, I am Aaron. We appreciate you listening/watching, and we will catch you on the next one.